Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining this session. This session is about how does Yahoo Japan balance development speed and service quality. My name is Kanako Yasunaga, Technology Solution Division, System Management Group, Technology Group of Yahoo Japan. And once again, thank you very much for joining this session in your very busy schedule. I think since you are interested in this session title, I think you must be involved in a product development. Speed and quality is a trade-off relationship, so you might be struggling dealing with that. So this time, how we Yahoo Japan deals with the visualize and also taking a balance of speed and quality. I hope this will be helpful to you. Let me introduce myself briefly. Once again, I am Kanako Yasunaga. I joined Yahoo Japan in 2004 and I work as an engineer. Since 2004, I belong to the development service team. The service is directly used by consumers, and since 2015, I am engaged in a development platform used by internal engineers, and also I have working in both field of the consumer side and also the internal side. So from service development to the company-wide common platform development, I have been involved. Such experience is helping this subject. So first, this is today's agenda. First, the quantification of development speed and service quality, finding effective development habits for numerical improvement, actions for improvement, and from tacit to explicit knowledge. Do you know this quote? No measurement, no improvement. So things which cannot be measured cannot be improved. So this is the quote of the Dr. William Thomson of the thermodynamicist. So when I created a report which I present today, my boss praised me with this quote. So why he gave this quote, I am going to explain that. So to improve the development speed and service quality, we have to measure them. To measure them, there are 4 metrics. So this was selected based on by referring the Google Dora. As a development speed, we use 2 metrics. Change lead time, so time of start of development to deployment. Deploy frequency, the frequency of development in commercial environment. And there are 2 metrics for service quality, MTTR. So the mean time to repair, change failure rate. So the percentage of the system failure in a commercial deployment. So using these 4 metrics, we take a balance between the development speed and quality. So let me explain how to the measurement method. Change lead time. We use the data of the GitHub and a screwdriver CD. Concretely speaking, at the time of the deploy, that information is linked to the API, and the deploy information is stored in the accumulated system. Then, from accumulated information, GitHub first commit is found out and measured. Deploy frequency at the time of the deploy, number of reports is measured. Next, change failure rate and MTTR are measured by in-house tool, failure report tool. So when failure occurred, the occurrence time and also the temporary repair completion time has to be reported. This is mandatory. So from that report, we do the measurement. So I would like to explain 4 graphs, which is showing the result of the measurement. So the green is the good result, the red is bad, and yellow means the middle. So I am going to explain one by one, starting with the change lead time. As you can see the graph, so the vertical axis is the change lead time, and the horizontal axis is the rank of the change lead time. So the software delivery change lead time is shorter is better. So the feedback from customer is reflected quickly, and also the direction can be changed right away. So in terms of the development speed, the deploy frequency is another metrics. The vertical is the month of the number of deployment per month, and also the horizontal axis is the rank. So I think you feel it's not possible to review everything when you receive the pull request with many change requests. So the work size reduction benefits are customer feedback acceleration and also the risk reduction and cost and schedule inflation prevention. However, in case of the software, the work size isn't visible. So instead of the work size, the working tempo, deploy frequency becomes the metrics. Next, the MTTR, mean time to repair. The vertical axis is the time, and the horizontal axis is the rank. Complicated system is quickly changing in the current environment. Failure is inevitable. So how quickly recover service is the key. So when an incident occurs, so how long will it take to restore? MTTR is the metric. And the last metric is the change failure rate. So this is the operation failure case ratio. Vertical axis is the change failure rate percentage, and also the horizontal axis is the rank. At development site, once change is failed, the restore and the impact investigation are done as extra work. I have experience of that. From engineer psychological perspective, it is better to have less failure. So we use site change success rate, and it is called as a SSR. And this is the quality assessment metrics. So I talked about the 4 metrics and visualization.
We have measurement and visualization. I have experienced development and operation. There is always a trade-off for development speed and service quality in the development field. For example, if you reinforce testing, service quality will be enhanced, but it takes a longer time to offer. On the other hand, if you accelerate development at the faster pace, you can't verify it, and therefore risk will be there, and the service quality will be degraded. What are we supposed to do to take a good balance between development speed and service quality? So we set up a criteria per metrics: low, medium, high classes. There are 3 classes we set up. What we have to be careful is that based on the evaluation of indicators alone, we can't judge the status of a product easily. Taking speed as an example, even if it's faster, if there are many incidents, how should we view such a product? And there is a metrics of speed and quality. The lowest metrics, that is the overall class where our product belongs to, is indicated. That way, we can take a balance of speed and quality to evaluate the product. High class means that it is high both in speed and quality. As for low class, it is either or both of them are ranked in low class. And given the status of your product, just like the arrow, you can aim at a higher class for the improvement. And as for visualization, we had a difficult time at the beginning. In order for us to measure, we had to incorporate a special setup for deployment pipeline, and we had a difficult time to get a corporate-wide measurement. And it took time for us to convince other people, but we can see corporate-wide relative values. The biggest takeaway you can take is to visualize development in one way or another. And this time, change lead time, deploy frequency, MTTR, change failure rate. 4 metrics are used as a means for visualization. Of course, there are other measures we take, but I think those are the 4 metrics we can use to take a good balance. Next agenda, finding effective development habits for numerical improvement. As for development habits, it is related to service characteristics. For example, taking a billing system as an example, quality is the most important item. Mistake-free status is required. Therefore, testing automation is developed as a development habit. And development habits are related to product life cycle. For service with a startup, system needs to be quickly developed in a small size. Therefore, it is necessary to fine-tune the features, and deployment automation is developed as a part of a development habit. And Yahoo Japan, where we offer many services, development habits are existing in various variation, and which action can result in which improvement of a numerical factor is identified, and we conducted a questionnaire for numerical data and relationship with the products. And there were 6 major items: master-based development, and artifact management, deployment automation, test data management, and loose coupling. This is called best practice, and the CI/CD development style is referred to in order for us not to have error. We asked the question whether you can answer yes or no. And if you refer to the graph on the right, you can see yes, or you can do it for the product's performance. And if you refer to it, you can see development habits and the product. The relationship between two can be seen. Higher class is where best practices are established. And now, I'd like to see the questions in the questionnaire in detail. There are 3 questions we prepared. As you respond to them more, the degree of difficulty will be higher. If unit tests are automated, tests are implemented using CI/CD tools, which means that it is getting established in place. On the other hand, integrated tests are automated, which means that it's not sufficient even with high-class teams. Given this data, those teams ranked as high class, they should focus more on single test automation so that they can create a status to implement CDCI2 for testing. There are various issues in the development field. It is necessary to practice more efficient practice. When I see the result of the questionnaire, there was an unexpected result. Basic practice aggregation indicates there is only small difference. Even if it is a small difference, high-class product means that it is developed based on basic practice thoroughly. What is your development team in your team? There is a Japanese version of a questionnaire attached. And if you are interested in teams development habits, please take a look at that.
Next agenda is actions for improvement. So from now on, I would like to change a perspective a little bit, and I would like to share our product improvement initiative. And this product improvement is made through the 4 steps. First one, know your own product numbers. And second, know your own product development habits. 3, comparison with high rank. Number 4, the improvements along with usual operations. So this is the actual numbers, values of a given product. Left is about the speed metrics and the right is the quality metrics. If you look at them, the right-hand side, both of them are in a high rank, so they are good. But on the other hand, the speed metrics, so there is a low rank, so improvement is required. So I visited them, and they are a lot of operation, and the deploy frequency value is low. So because of that, so if I plot this to the balance matrix, then the position is star mark. So overall, they ranked as a low class. So to find out the issue, entire team did the questionnaire. Then, so the result of the questionnaire showed the gap of awareness of development rules. So the response was distributed, and by understanding that, they could reconfirm the development tool. So the radar chart shows the average of the survey result as a average value. So this team has a low habit of test automation. So on top of own product numbers, and high rank product number is overlaid, and by doing the comparison, entire team discussed the development habits. Then artifact management, deployment automation, test automation, best practices. In terms of that aspect, the improvement ideas were given from the members because the member has a different experience. So it took time to do the discussion from the scratch, but using the best practice and also the numerical data, the member has objective view on product and they could have a good reflection. They also have a regular daily work. So you should start the easy start in terms of the improvements. For this team, test automation has a language issue and it is difficult to address that. That opinion was made. So first, they started to do with the artifact management improvement. So the entire environment. So they engaged to improve use the same package, image, and configuration manage in all environments. So in this question, same in all environments portion is not fulfilled. So the extended new verification management was not enough. So every time every verification, variables are written manually, and worst of that, depending on the people, the knowledge level varied. So it took time to share information. So they changed all environment variable code managed and changed to the same configuration management under all developed environment. And next, deploy procedures are the same for all environments, and deployment is automated. They started to address this one, and they did a commercial environment deployment automation was done, but not all environment. So from staging to the development environment, the deployed automation was not done. So unnecessary manual work was carried out. So everything was automated. By addressing these two questions, communication loss or the manual setting mistakes were solved, and they could start the work right away. So time-consuming operation became efficient, and also they have more resources available. So test automation is not completed yet, but after 6 months, numbers have changed. Change lead time improved from 213 hours to 134 hours, and the deploy frequency also improved from 0.66 to 8 times. So the before and after improvement production position is also marked with the star mark. So with the 6 months improvement action, the product is ranked to the high rank, and also the motivation of the engineers are also improved. So with better development efficiency, time is freed up. So other test automation improvement will be carried out.
Improvement of development productivity is similar to going on a diet. If you think you gained weight, you take a measurement, you weigh, and put on pedometer, and you may measure calorie for the meal you take. And you may think it's because I didn't do exercise much. Then if you improve that, you will lose weight, and you think you succeeded on a diet. And it's the same as development productivity. If you measure speed and quality, and if you visualize development habits, you can improve, and it will lead to productivity improvement. Next agenda, from implicit to explicit knowledge. Yahoo Japan has accumulated various knowledge in terms of development, and it is on service and products. Therefore, implicit knowledge is accumulated. As I introduced before, it is not as part of best practice, which is explicit knowledge. For example, in practice, best practice, test automation may be introduced to a team. What should we do? What should we do to make operation size smaller? You may be able to get an answer from the product team next to you. In order to improve development productivity, you have to have a know-how for reproducible aspect and disseminate information. And we are tackling knowledge management. I'd like to briefly introduce knowledge management. Individual and products may have implicit knowledge. It should be socialized, externalized, and combined and internalized. That way, it will be shared as a common knowledge for the organization. Knowledge in terms of development productivity is disseminated corporate-wide. Now, I'd like to talk about each process in a more specific way. First of all, socialization. Socialization means that through daily activities, implicit knowledge each individual has should be shared with other people. To make it possible, visualization of numbers and survey of development habits are shared with other people. Next is externalization. Implicit knowledge should be changed using words and charts. And we had an interview with a team who has excellent results in terms of development productivity, and a good case was summarized with numerical data and the method, and it was disseminated internally. Next one is combination. Explicit knowledge or knowledge as well as the data should be combined. And as the final explicit knowledge in terms of development process. It is defined as a technology guideline engineers have to comply with. The last one is internalization through combination. It is an explicit knowledge for the organization, and it has to be absorbed by individuals. We are leveraging internal conference. And for the product which has a good results of development productivity, we ask them to make a speech to talk about the success case. Based on those 4 processes, Yahoo Japan is acknowledging very good knowledge, and also we are disseminating that speed and quality in development field should be well balanced, but it cannot be done by individuals, and there has to be mutual understanding between teams and organizations for that. Conventionally, development productivity was discussed in terms of experience, but everybody can have a common understanding using specific numbers as an organizational culture. Therefore, productivity can be maintained at all time. This is the summary. I talked about the 4 points. First one is quantification of development speed and service quality. Change lead time, deploy frequency, mean time to repair, change failure rate. Those 4 measures and also the balance of evaluation was addressed. The second, finding effective development habits for numerical improvement. Product with good numbers means that there is a best practice development habits is in place. The third, actions for improvement should be practiced in the field. Check and action should be identified, and we can run PDCA for continuous improvement. Number 4, from tacit to explicit knowledge. Internally, there is excellent knowledge which was accumulated implicitly, and it can become explicit knowledge through or beyond product and organization. Lastly, there is a variety of services Yahoo Japan has, and the product has been developed based on various services and business types. And optimal development habits and processes are well considered. We have a CI/CD automation so that the operation would not have mistakes. And in order to realize efficient development, we can offer valuable services in a timely manner. And we'd like to tackle so that they can be utilized safely. This concludes my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. Ms. Yasunaga, thank you very much.
So from now on, we would like to start the plus talk session to deep dive the session with the interviewer, and we will entertain questions from audience as much as possible. You can post your question by question mark icon on the screen. Interviewer is Mr. Masahiro Kamata from LINE. Mr. Kamata, could you introduce yourself? Thank you for the introduction. Effective Team and Delivery Group. I am Masahiro Kamata from LINE. Our organization is project manager or the agile coach and also the scrum master. Those are the members, and they go to different teams of entire organization, then coach and support the improvement of the development. So this was Yasunaga-san's presentation was very helpful. Thank you. So Kamata-san, do you have any questions on the presentation? Thank you. So there are many interesting points, and Also, there are good tips and advice. And so currently, you now visualize the situation pretty much, but how long did it take for you to come to this stage? So starting from 2019, this project started. In the beginning, it was very small. So starting with the 50 product. And now, right now, 370 products are subject of the project, and 370 products are sending data. So it took 3 years to come to this stage. So there are different types of the development teams, and I think do they send a request to you? Yes, depending on the development team, the data they want to gather is different, and it is difficult to address each request. If we do that, the integrity of the organization is compromised. So listening their requests, and when it is also deployed to entire organization, what will happen? So by looking that aspect, we are coordinating the requests. Thank you. So the power of the visualization is really strong. On the other hand, how to use the number? I think there are some teams who are struggling to use the number. So how do you support such teams? So are you talking about the developed team at the site? Yes. So the data analysis is actually consuming most of our time, so we cannot visit the actual site, but we do the interview. Then we identify the good points and bad points. Then also we make a proposal to refer a different kind of the numbers or values. So not always they are monitoring the numbers. So we tally the numbers and present them to them, and also explain the situation, and they understand, and also they are convinced. And also we can clearly discuss the points to be improved. So in that sense, that's the way to use the numbers or values. Thank you. So I myself work with the different teams in our organization. So the situation is really different. Then, as you mentioned, so instead of customizing too much, but establishing common best practice is really good. And the questionnaire is really great approach. So the question should be a closed end, could be answered yes or no. And I think that approach is really good. And the contents of the survey or questionnaire, are they changing? Yes. So currently it's version 12. So the old questionnaire is like you can do it or not, or like a 3-stage or 5-stage. Then, so people tend to answer the middle. So it is difficult to see the relationship with the number. So it is difficult to have the same definition, but having the question to be answered yes or no, then the relationship with numbers or numeric values are clearer. So every time the questionnaire is upgraded, and also there are items that we have not measured. So every time we reflect the new items. Thank you.
Let me change the subject. In terms of taking a balance, there can be a good balance you want to consider, which is part of a motivation as a development team. you may want to get an understanding from a business team. Is there a way so that you can get an understanding by business team? Yes. Today I talked about some case studies. Within the scope you can do, we started from a small one that was easier, and then we developed. And we didn't come up with a requests to business team. For other case studies, the size of development may be requested by business team. So size may be predefined. For that team, they have to have a good communication with the business team so that the size of development may be broken down, so that the size of development was smaller one by one. But as the size of development was smaller, it accelerated the speed of development. And then business was run very well. And there was a synergy because the business was improved. And I hear that the business team was very satisfied. Thank you very much. So with visualization, you can convince them, yes, rather than how you feel. If you show numerical figure, it will convince them more. Thank you very much. And as for taking a balance, on page 48, there is a graph. As the speed is improved, it has become higher, then quality may be impacted, I assume. Would you tell me about that, a change? In terms of the case I talked about, because the speed was slow, deployment frequency was smaller, then change failure rate was smaller. Both of them were small. But as the deployment frequency may be increased, change failure rate may go up as well. In other words, service quality may be degraded, which is a concern. But at that time, service team could not automate testing much, so they were understanding that they had to automate the testing. Therefore, as you accelerate development, you could accelerate the development, and then if quality was degraded, it can be improved. Good point about the visualization is that you can see the avenue in terms of what you should do next. That may be another effect of visualization. Thank you very much. That is exactly the continuous improvement of products. There is a never-ending story. As you see the metrics, you can see the prioritization, and you can think about strategy, and you can run good cycle. Thank you very much. And as the teams must have had various approaches, and I think you are getting good results. What are the areas where your team is focusing on in terms of topics? Yes, many people are looking at data. Quality and speed is the balance. As we have corporate-wide data, there may be something missing, or data may not be captured. We may not have accurate data in many areas. So those are the areas where we have to improve. And also, depending on data, we may have monthly data indicated, but we have to be able to see daily data. Then, if you refer to data every day, you can improve what you have on a daily basis. That is what our team is doing. Thank you very much. So I'd like to read some questions from viewers.
Let me read. So quality means no bug, or the speedy website is not only the area. So the usability and also the UI is important. Do you have any metric? Yes, that's something we want to try, but still we have not covered UI and UX yet. But definitely we would like to extend our coverage because they are really involved with business, related to the business. So we would like to cover that also. Thank you.